Okay, Algebra 1, Lesson 21. This is on product rule for exponents and then addition of like terms with exponents. Okay, now let's talk about this. If you were to see 3 as the base and 5 as the exponent, what does that mean?
It's 3 times 3 times 3.
Very good.
5 times.
3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Did I say that 5 times? Whatever. Okay, so 5 times of 3's. Now, what if you were to see this? 3 to the second power times 3 to the third power. Okay? You may remember from last year what you're supposed to do with this, but let's just do it illustratively. This would be 3 times 3, right?
Yep.
Times, that times right there, 3 times 3 times 3, right? So how many times am I actually multiplying 3?
5.
5 times. So guess what you can do? You can just say 3 and then you can add the exponent. So 2 plus 3 is 5. And that gives you the same answer as this up here. Right? So they're going to have you to work these kind of problems and you're going to have to figure out this and then you're going to have to figure out the answer. Okay? Now let me look and see on some of your practices what they're going to have you do on that one. Yeah, so it'll just say for you to answer, for example, let's do one more. Something like this. 3 times 3 to the 4th power. Now this one might be confusing,
5.
but how many, that we at least have 1 3, right? Okay? So even though a 1's not there, you're going to make sure you're going to put a 1 because the 3, you have to have something up here, okay? Because that 3 equals 1 time. But if you weren't able to realize that, then you could have gone, okay, I'm just going to bring this 3 down and then multiply this 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that would be 5. And you would see that. But if you can do this in your head by looking at it, then the answer would just be 3 to the 5th power. Okay? And then you would figure it out. You could actually do it with a calculator. Okay? Or even not a calculator. Okay. So let's talk about a little bit harder. And this time, instead of using numbers, I'm going to use letters. So if you were to see x to the 5th power times x to the 7th power times x to the 2nd power, how many would I have if I'm going to multiply my x's?
14.
14. So 5 plus 7 plus 2 is 14. So this would really be x to the 14th power. Very good. Okay, so you're really just adding those. You see that?
Yep.
Okay, and you could even have a p. Let's do p to the 5th power times p to the 12th power. And that would be p to the 17th power. Okay? So each time you're just adding those. All right? Now, let's move over to where it gets just a tad bit more difficult. Okay, but it doesn't have to in your head. All right, so here we go. X squared, y squared, times x to the 5th power, y to the 3rd power. Okay, anytime letters are next to each other, do you remember what that means?
Times.
Times. So even if those aren't there, you can put those in there if you need to. Okay, now, basically you're going to have to bring together all the x's, okay? And so if I were to bring all those together, I have a 2 and a 5, which would be x to the 7th power, times
Y to the 5th.
y to the 2 plus 3 makes 5. Very good. Okay, now if you were to just write this out, this is the final answer. But let's say you didn't understand how to do that. You could just go x, since there's 2 of them, times y, since those are 2 of them, times 5 of these x's, times 3 y's. You see that? And then you could just all put them all together. X, and then bring these x's over, 5 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which you know you have x to the 7th right there. And then you could put all your y's together, so I'm done with those, and done with those. Now let's do the y's. Y, and then 3 y's. And you'll see that we have y to the 5th power. Okay, same thing, just whatever you feel like works for you. To me, it's just easier to add the exponents, okay? And you really need to try to get to that point. All right, now let's do another one. X squared y to the third power, m to the fifth power, x to the third power, and y to the second power, right? So if you were to do this one, let's take all the x's, and what am I going to get?
5.
Okay, 2 plus 3 is 5, so x to the fifth power. Okay, and I'm going to go on and mark those out since we're done with them. Okay, now y,
5.
I see this one and this one, right? Y to the fifth power, good, we're done with that one, and that one. And then m to the fifth power. See how we're doing that? Alright, now, I'm going to keep doing a few more of these, and then we're going to move to something. I'm going to move to a different color. That blue's not doing very good. Let's do this one, okay? The next problem they're wanting us to do is this one. X, y squared, x cubed. Okay? This one may look confusing, but it's really not because we already have an x and we already have a y. So I'm going to show that by doing a 1 on each of those. Do you see how we did that? Because I do have one y and one x. Okay? So now when I add all my x's together, x
4.
to the fourth power, done with those,
And y to the 3rd.
and y to the third. Hopefully you see that and can understand that. Okay? One more of this kind, then we're going to move to something else a little bit different. M to the third power, pmx, m squared, x cubed, p5. Yes. Okay. Again, we have 3 m's. How many p's? 1. How many m's right here? 1. How many x's? 1. And m, there's 2. x3, p5. Okay, and now we're just going to combine the ones. There are 3 m's.
5.
Plus another m. Plus 2 more m's. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. M to the 6th. Good. Now I'm going to go and mark off all the m's that we did. Okay, let's go and do p. P, 1 and 5 makes 6. And then x to the 1 and x to the third power makes 4. See that? Feel like you understand it pretty good? It's really quite simple. And you really can put these in any order. You could have said x4, m6, or p6 like that. It really doesn't matter because 5 times 3 is still the same thing as 3 times 5. No matter how you turn them, same thing here. X fourth is the same thing times m6 as if we switched it around. You see how it works? Okay, now let's move to something a little bit different. You kind of learned this the other day. Addition of like terms, but this time we're doing it with exponents. So you did work with just like terms. Remember that? Okay, so for example, let's just do what you've been doing so far just to kind of review that. So you've done 3x squared plus 2x squared equals 5x squared. Okay? Do you remember when I taught you, this was even several years ago, that you have to see these as what?
Is a like term.
Like an animal. Remember how I talked to you about zoo animals? Okay, so, for example, these are monkeys. X squared means that it's a monkey. So, for example, we have 3 monkeys plus 2 monkeys equals 5 monkeys. Okay, now let's move a little bit harder. And this time what you're going to do are not monkeys. Okay, well, you're going to be kind of doing that, but I'll explain in just a second. So I have x squared y p to the 5th power plus 2x y squared p to the 5th power plus, I'm going to move down here, 3 p to the 5th power x squared y minus 7y squared x p to the 5th. Now, first thing I want you to notice, okay, is I want you to see I have an x squared, a y, and a p5. Then I have an x without an x squared, a y squared, just a y, and then they both have p5. Okay. You have to see this entire thing as an animal. Okay? Do you see that this one is different? Because this one has 2x, y, just 1, and then p5. So they have to be seen as two completely different animals.
Yeah.
Okay, now stay with me. So I'm going to put, this one is a x squared y p to the 5th is a monkey. Okay, and then x, I'm going to put a line right there so we don't get confused. X y squared p to the 5th is a dog. Now, do you notice something different about this and these? The p comes first, then the x squared, and then the y. Does it match this one or this one?
The right one. No, the left one.
The left one, because we have an x squared, x squared.
So y.
We have a y, one y, and then a p5. So what I would encourage you to do is change these around and make it say this. Does that make sense to your brain?
Yeah.
Okay, or you can just say this one matches,
they don't have to be the same
and this one matches, and then you can underline this one twice and the one that matches that one. How do you prefer to do it?
Just the ones that actually have the same numbers.
So going to write it out?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to do that. So since these do match, I have two x's right here. I have 1 y and 5 p's, p to the 5th power. I'm going to go in and write it because it is the same thing. Okay, now this one, does it match this one or this one?
The right one.
This one still? Okay, so we have y squared, x, p5, p5. You're right. Okay, so I'm going to put it in order as this one is. Okay, that makes things a lot easier, doesn't it? Okay, so I'm going to underline with, my monkeys are going to be red, and my dogs are going to be black. Okay, so let me go and take these off for a minute. Okay, now, x2, y, p5, how many of those do I have even if it doesn't indicate it? One. So you always want to put a 1 in front of it. Very good. Okay, so how many monkeys do I have? I have, this one is the monkeys. I have 1 monkey. And do I have another x squared, y, p5? X squared, y, p5. Y. So those are my monkeys. How many monkeys? I have 1 monkey and 3 monkeys.
4.
Makes 4, and then I'm just going to write down what the monkeys was. X squared, y, p, 5. Okay? Done with those. Okay? Now, I'm going to go on. You see how this one's plus and this one's minus?
Yeah, you can make it
it's
plus
always
negative.
better to keep everything plus. So I'm going to put plus negative. Very good. Okay, now let's go on and work this problem. This time I have 2 dogs and then a -7 dogs. So -7 dogs plus -2, or +2, sorry. +2 dogs brings us -5. Okay, so this answer to this one is -5 and then whatever the dogs is. X, y squared, p, 5. Okay? And we cannot add these two because you can't add dogs and monkeys together to make them have 9. You can't have monkey dog. Okay? So this is just the answer. Alright? And that's how you would answer it. Alright, let me check and see if the broken book has it the same way it does. Very good. Okay, now, let's go and do a few more of these so you can get used to it. But don't let the different arrangement of the letters mix you up. Okay? Because that can happen. Alright? Here we go. I'm going to try to write smaller so I have it all the way across, but I may not be able to get it. 2m cubed x, y squared p plus, you can try this on your paper too, if you want to, 3pxy squared m cubed. I keep reading the wrong one. I'm going back and forth. Sorry. Okay. Minus 10xy squared m3p. And I didn't get it all the way. Plus yx squared m3p. Okay. The first thing I'm going to do, this is a plus. I'm going to go and make this plus negative, just to get that started. I think that's what I like to do. And I'm going to go and put a 1 in front of this one, because we at least have 1 of something, right? Now let's try to see if we can connect the patterns. M3xy squared p. Do you see that one anywhere else?
Wait, where?
So far I have a M3 x y squared p. Do you see that? M3 y squared x and a p. This one has that exact.
-10.
Do you see how this one has the exact one?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go in and change the letters on that one to say this. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Because I have 3 m's, 2 y's, an x, and a p. Same thing as this.
So is the -10.
This one does too?
Yeah.
Okay, so 3m x y squared p. Very good. And this one you said
The -10.
m3 x y squared and p. Very good. So I'm going to go in and change this one to say the exact same thing, just reorganizing it. Okay, does this one?
No, the last
Well,
one.
we have m3, we have an x, but it's x squared.
Yeah.
And we have a y squared, and we only have a y here. So this is something totally different.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's make the red ones monkeys. That one's the same as this one's the same as this one's the same. And this one's going to be my dogs down here. You got it?
Yep.
So now we're just going to add, we have two monkeys plus 3 monkeys makes 5 monkeys plus a -10 monkeys makes a -5 monkeys. So I'm going to go and fill that in. -5, 3, or m3 x y squared p. And then I'm going to plus, and then we just have 1 dog. So 1 y x squared m cubed p. And let's see if that's the right answer. Yes, it is. Okay? Feel like you understand it?
Yep.
Alright, you do this one on your paper by yourself if you think you can. If not, just watch me again up here. Here we go. 2x squared y plus 3y x squared plus x squared y squared minus x squared y minus 4x squared y squared. Okay. I'm going to go in and put plus negatives, plus negative, plus negative. Okay? And then I'm going to go in and put 1 in front of all of my categories that do not have a number with it, since this does mean 1 dog, cat, or whatever, and -1 dog, cat, or whatever. Okay? You with me? You see what I've done so far?
Yeah.
Okay, now, we've got x squared y. I'm going to go in and write that one down. There's an x squared y, so we'll indicate what that one, we want that one to be. Then we have an x squared y squared as a category. Do you see any others? This is x squared y, x squared y squared. Okay, so there's just 2 categories. So let's make monkeys again and dogs. Just because they're my 2 favorite animals. Okay, so let's add up our monkeys. Our monkeys are the x squared y, but this one is different, term different. There's y x squared, but it means the same. So I'm going to change that, x squared y. Is there another x squared y? No. Everything else seems to be just right. Okay, so monkeys, I'm going to do red. So this is 2 monkeys, x squared y, 3 monkeys, x squared y, and -1 monkeys, which is x squared y. Okay? And then the dogs, I'm going to underline black. I have a 1x squared y squared, which symbolizes dogs, and -4 x squared y squared, which symbolizes dogs. So now let's just add our like terms. 2 monkeys plus 1, no, I'm sorry. I'm doing the red. 2 monkeys plus 3 monkeys plus -1. Well, 2 plus 3 is 5, and 5 plus -1 makes a 4 monkeys, right?
Mm-hmm.
4x squared y. Done with those. And all that's left is our dogs, x squared y squared. And so 1 dog plus a -4 dogs makes
-3.
negative 3, and then dogs is x squared, y squared. See how we did that? Shoo! It looks hard, but if you're dividing it up like I've been talking about with doing the dogs, cats, monkeys, whatever, it is so much simpler. Alright? And that is lesson 21.